What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my podcast called So the Tea Is. I'm your host, David Jared, and today we're going to be talking about what does that even mean? You guys were literally like, what? Like, what's the tea? What is this week's episode even about? So, on this week's episode, I am going to be talking about myself, which you guys know and love. Not that you know and love me, but some of you do, thank you. But people love when I talk about myself. People love when I air my life out on the internet, which is literally what this podcast is. So am I setting myself up for failure? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I love talking about my life, clearly, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. So, being someone who willingly puts their life out on the internet, I don't have a huge following, but, definitely things that I do get talked about. And today I'm going to be talking about who I actually am, despite what people think or rumors or whatever. We're going to be getting into the actual tea. So grab your cup and we're about to wait, what is it? I was really trying to be funny. Oh my gosh, this is why I am not a comedian and I'm like a podcaster, like whatever. Grab your cup, fill it with tea, and hold on tight because we're about to spill it. I hate that. Okay. Anywho's. So, being someone who puts their life on the internet willingly, it allows you. I mean, even before I was quote unquote an influencer, whatever you want to call it, okay. Even when my accounts were all private, I still, because I posted myself, whether it was on Instagram, TikTok, even back in the Musical.ly days, I was opening myself up for criticism for people to talk about. And I don't know if that's necessarily a right thing to do. Obviously it's human nature to talk about one another. And I'm not saying that I don't, or that I have a problem being talked about. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the hate and the scrutiny that you get from like literally just posting a normal picture or from making a TikTok and then like suddenly like people see it or it lands on the wrong crowd or like all these young kids just like dancing and then like all these grown people are hating on them or like sexualizing them, or it's so weird. And it's so weird that is what social media has come to, but especially with a platform like TikTok, like that can happen. Like you don't know most of the people on your For You page, you don't know them, and you're like interacting with them, you're commenting, and like most of the time it's good and it's lighthearted and it's fun and it's like funny stuff. But it's like, what if it's not? What if like your video lands on the wrong person's page and they like send you hate? I don't know. You can't like think like that when you're posting. Or even when you're scrolling, like you can't really think like that, because if you think like that, you get two in your head, and then you're like, oh my god, I like literally never want to post again. Like, what is this? What is TikTok? Like, I'm over it. I'm done. But like, you just kind of have to sit back and be like, okay, like this is the price that you pay to like do this, and especially like with the podcast, like I'm literally talking about my life. For a while the podcast was talking about celebrities' lives and talking about everyone else's life, but that wasn't really authentic to me. And I love pop culture so much and I love talking about all that, and I still will and do talk about that, but I'm not here to be some sort of drama channel. That's not what this is. I really do like talking about my life because I feel like if that can help one person, or if it's at least entertaining to someone, that people can gain something from it. And I like doing it. It's honestly therapeutic kind of for me, and I just like telling stories, and I just think it's fun and funny. But obviously when you have a podcast, it does, Alex Earl was talking about this, but it does allow for more scrutiny than if you are just dancing to songs. Like Charli D'Amelio was talking about this, how like most people didn't even know like what her voice sounded like because she was always just doing like dancing TikToks or like lip syncing. And like for Musical.ly people, like that was a huge thing. Like you're literally just lip syncing to other people's songs, and then it's like, oh, like this is what you actually sound like. This is like what your personality is like. And especially with apps like Musical.ly and TikTok, it's very hard if you're not, like, now so many people get popular and famous off of their personalities on TikTok for being funny, for being quirky, for being different or whatever, or entertaining. And it's like, for those people it's easy, but then for other people who aren't as comfortable with either sharing their personality on the internet, or who haven't been sharing their personality on the internet for their entire quote unquote internet career, it is a lot harder and it is a lot weirder, because it allows for people to scrutinize them more and for people to pick apart anything that they are saying. And I honestly haven't had this problem with the podcast yet, I don't think, which I'm grateful for. Obviously, I don't have a huge audience, or like an audience like someone like Alex Earl or Charli D'Amelio, where anything that I say people are going to pick apart. And I think that for me, it's less of what I say people pick apart, it's more what I wear, what I dance to, and stuff like that. Like, that is, for some reason, people's problems. Like, I don't think that when I talk, someone is like, oh my god, like, some people are like, oh, I don't want to hear you, but I feel like the majority of the haters just tune me out and block me out and just maybe don't listen to the podcast, which is completely fine. But it's like, I don't know, maybe people don't hate the podcast so much because it humanizes me and it allows for people to see who I really am, versus something like an Instagram picture or something like a TikTok, when that is who I am, but it's not representative of all of me. And the podcast isn't either. I mean, I'm sitting here for 10, 20, 30 minutes talking to you guys each week, and obviously, like, this is the most representative form of me on social media. It's not like a YouTube video that is edited or that is with my friends. Like, that is more inside scoop of me than, TikTok and then Instagram. But this is the most honest form, and I think that that can be kind of scary. But I find it quite liberating, because it's like kind of taking back that narrative, and it's like I can talk about literally anything that I want to talk about. I come on this couch, I sit down, and I podcast, and I think, okay, what do I want to talk about today? I'll plan stuff, have a whole list of topics to talk about, and I just talk about it, and I can talk about whatever I want. I don't have someone, or I don't work with a company that's telling me you have to talk about this or you can't talk about this. I can talk about whatever I want, and especially when it's surrounding myself and my narrative around me and around my brand and around who I am as a person, I feel like that's something that, in the past, I think I was a little scared to talk about, but now I feel comfortable talking about it. And I don't know, I think it's a slow burn. I don't think I'm gonna sit here today and respond to every single hate comment that I've ever gotten, and I don't want to do that, and I don't respond to hate. And because most of the time, 8.5% of the time, it really doesn't bother me, because most of them are things that I've been told for a really long time and are just things that aren't necessary. And it's like, genuinely, if someone is sitting there and commenting on a TikTok video of me dancing in my backyard for fun, doing a normal thing that millions of kids do, and I was a kid, and people would leave me the craziest comments. And sure, I wasn't the best dancer, but it's like, I'm just a kid dancing. Like, I'm not trying. There was a time when I was trying to be TikTok famous, but it's like, even so, like, okay, like, your point, like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just a kid dancing, and I see so many videos that will pop up on my For You page, people are just like so mean, and I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, you guys certainly don't like it when I dance. Like, okay, so now I'm not gonna dance anymore. And now I'm going to, switch my TikTok content, and I'm gonna find something that is niche to me. I'm not gonna dance, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm going to make Come Get Coffee With Me videos. And people like those, and I like doing those. But then I was like, I didn't do Come Get Coffee With Me, my series on TikTok, out of spite for the hate or to avoid the hate. I just did want to kind of find something that was more natural to me, naturally, and that came because it was something that I always did and I always do. Like, I'm always getting coffee, so it made sense to kind of film that and to make it more personal. But honestly, like, I was scared to post dancing videos, which is crazy because I know the response that dancing videos get for some reason. It's gonna get a million shares. It's gonna be talked about. It's gonna, like, do I have to go take dancing lessons or but that's not the problem, I don't think. I don't think the problem is my dancing ability. So or sometimes that is. I think the problem is me doing something that is stereotypically feminine or is just not what I'm quote unquote supposed to be doing. And people want to put me in boxes, even in the whole influencer world. Okay, you're doing this, you cannot do this. You can't cross paths. You can't do this, this, and this. You can only do this. TikTokers can only do TikTokers. Dancers can only do dance. You cannot do this. Like, you can't do this. And that's why I like the fact that I can do whatever I want. I can do a podcast, I can do TikTok, I can do whatever. But it is hard when you feel so limited based off of what other people are saying and based off of the reaction of your audience. If your audience doesn't like something and you're trying to grow your following, are you really going to keep doing the thing that the audience doesn't like? No, you're going to figure out what they do like. But it's like, I was like, that is so stupid. And I was like, you know what? If I want to post dance videos aren't the same on TikTok as they were before. Like, back then, I used to, in quarantine, I was posting 3 to 5 dance videos a day. Like, I was literally working my butt off, okay? Like, I really was. I was renegading. Like, back in the day, babe, you're 20. But, we would have, in quarantine, literally Zoom classes, and we would have 15-minute breaks in between the classes, and I would take the entire 15 minutes or 14 minutes and 59 seconds to do these TikToks. I would learn them the night before, the day before, and I would bang them out, these TikToks. I would come into class sweating, literally sweating. I would have a bottle of water right next to me on my desk, literally. I was sweating from doing these TikTok videos, and that's when I was actually dancing. But everyone was, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, you can be a TikTok dancer. This is fun." And it was such a simpler time, honestly, at that point, and I didn't really get hate from dancing at that point because one, everyone was doing it, and two, it was just fun. Everyone, that was just the culture of the app was very much dancing, and then it just switched to less dancing, which isn't necessarily a problem. I do miss that, but it was just even also just less people were on TikTok in the beginning of TikTok, 2019, early 2020, less people were on it, and then the pandemic hit and everyone went on it, and then even after that, not that many, or just less people were on it than now. Now everyone is on TikTok. Everyone is constantly on TikTok. Everyone is being exposed to everything, and that means that everyone is exposed to your content. Anyone can see your content from around the world, and anyone can comment on it, whether they're having a good day or a bad day, whether they like you or not, whether they think this about you. They don't know you. And I was like, I have to stop letting the opinions of people who literally don't know me consume me, and that was a hard realization. I was like, these people don't know me. It's one thing about people who do know me, and if it's my friends or family or people that I care about, that's a completely different story, because that's different. But it's if people that I don't know are commenting on my page, leaving me hate, that's sad for them, and it's I personally never understand how people do that. If I'm having a bad day, I'm not gonna go leave you hate. What? That doesn't make me feel better, and it's I feel bad for those people, and it's the people that are doing that are maybe in tough situations and don't know how to handle it, and I feel sorry for them. But it's even if you're not and you just think it's a fun thing to do, it's literally not, and it's just not nice. And it's obviously, hate isn't gonna ever go away necessarily, and that's also a hard realization. But it also is harder, I'll be completely honest, just the level of following that I'm at right now, it's really hard because I shouldn't admit this. I don't read every single comment, or I don't harp on comments obviously anymore. Now I actually really don't care, and this has been a journey that I've been on. But I don't have the Charli D'Amelio or Addison Rae thousands and thousands of comments to the point where I can't read everyone. I can read every comment, so I see everything that people say. So it's not there's 10,000 good comments and then 100 bad comments, and I see all the good comments and it outweighs the bad. I see the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly, I see every comment most of the time. Sometimes I like don't see it if it's like on like older videos or like whatever. If the video has a lot of comments, I won't see it, but like most of the time I see the comments, and it's hard because I see the comments, whereas other people, like, they can just not look at comments or whatever, and it's like, I want to interact with my audience and I want to do things, but then it's like, oh, sometimes there's people that aren't as nice and people who whatever and whatever. But honestly, on my main TikTok account, I think people have been a lot nicer since I've done Come Get Coffee With Me, and since I've done Get Ready With Me. And maybe it's because people like my personality, which I think is like really hard. I think that for me, it was hard to grasp or understand that people actually liked me for my personality and actually like my personality, because I think I was just one, scared to show it, and also I've been shy most of my life, and I definitely haven't either known what my quote unquote personality is, because I was either always trying to be like someone else or fitting the molds of someone else or where I was or who I was around or whatever, and I just didn't know if people like my personality. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna talk, and I'm just gonna make TikTok dances, and I'm gonna renegade, and I'm gonna like, you know, whatever. And that doesn't have anything to do with my personality, and people will just like me because I can dance, I can't dance, or because of my looks. I was like low-key ugly. Okay, let me be nice to myself, but like, you know what I'm saying? You get the point. But I think that what reigns true and what makes content successful, or whether it actually does well or not, is if I like it. I like doing TikTok dances. I will still do a TikTok dance every now and then, you know, whatever, and I don't really care. I'm gonna do dances with my friends. They're fun, and I don't care. Like, it's just, you're really commenting on like a kid's dance video, like, there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. If I want to dance, I'm gonna dance. People talk about me, people talk about me. Like, not like all press is good press, but it's like, not that it's like press. I'm like, press. No, I'm kidding. But like, you know, like, I don't care. Like, you have to unfortunately be comfortable if you're like in this industry to be talked about, especially if you have a podcast, especially if you're doing YouTube, especially if you're on TikTok nowadays, because it's like, you're just going to be talked about, and especially if you're doing things that are different from what everyone else is doing, you're going to be talked about. Whether it's good or bad, a lot of the things that are said about me are good, but then it's like, what stands out? The 3 bad things or the 20 good things? The 3 bad things are going to stand out, and it's just human nature, unfortunately. But it's hard because, one, hate is just a hard thing for anyone to deal with. It's a normal thing to want to be liked, and hate can make you think whatever they're saying is true, and it makes you believe it, which is really hard, and it makes you not even know who you are. And I've had to sit down and have hard conversations and, you know, think, who am I? Are these comments right? Should I stop doing this? Should I stop doing that? And no. Like, one, why are these people commenting these things? But 2, it's like, no. You know, there's a difference between hate and constructive criticism. I will always take, at the end of the day, constructive criticism, because those are people that want to help me and want to see me grow and strive and are actually there to help me. But it's like, when I needed the constructive criticism, no one was there. It was just hate comments. You know what I'm saying? So, I know who I am. And I'm not who people think I am or who people say I am. And I love having this outlet as a podcast because I can just sit down and talk. And I don't need, you know, to be in a nice outfit. I don't need to do a TikTok dance. I don't need to look amazing. I just want to sit down and talk, and people just want to listen to me talk for some reason. Still don't understand why. But it's like, I still have that, you know, disconnect with people liking my personality or liking what I have to say or being interested in the stuff that I'm saying, or people even relating to what I'm saying, even though I'm quote unquote relatable. But it's like, am I? Because like Alex Earl has so many more followers and she's quote unquote relatable, and I don't live her lifestyle, and like, we're different, and I don't look like her and all this stuff. And it makes you just into like this mental beast of like, okay, all these comments are true, everyone is so much better than I am, and blah blah blah. And that's a sad state to be in, and I'm glad that I'm not in that state, and far removed from it. I don't care what comments say, I don't care what people say, because I know who I am. But it's so hard in your formative years when you're growing up and you're figuring out who you are, and people are telling you who you are, and you have to be what people tell you, and that's not who you are. And you know deep down who you are, but people are always going to have rumors. People are always going to say this and say that, and you know, take what you say about this and run with it, and take this video and run with it, and this picture and this and that, and enough is enough. And this podcast is me taking back that narrative. I know who I am. Those who are close to me know who I am, I think. And, you know, if you watch this podcast, you know who I actually am, and not, you know, who I am on TikTok or who I am. I mean, now who I am on all those platforms is actually me, and they're different parts of me. But this is me, and I'm me, and like it or leave it. I'm not changing for anyone. I don't care what anyone has to say, and that is that. And we should stop letting these haters dictate our lives. And obviously, yes, sometimes hate comments will get to me. Yes, what people say will get to me, but I've just become a lot stronger from it, which kind of sucks because I am so young and I've dealt with it so much. But for anyone going through it, it does suck, and I'm here for you. And I hate it. Stop normalizing it. We shouldn't have to normalize it. And if you're going through it, DM me, reach out to me, anything. I will talk to you about it. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Like, thinking about kids, like, growing up in, like, high school or middle school and, like, going through this on TikTok, like, literally with no platform or following, like, literally because they just want to make a TikTok, angers me. Like, leave people alone. Or even people in college, I don't care. People in their 30s, stop talking about people the way that we talk about people on the internet. It's so annoying, and it's so disgusting, and it's just so disgraceful. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast. I love you so much. Make sure to follow the podcast Instagram and TikTok. Everything will be linked down below, and I will see you guys next Tuesday for another Tea Fields episode. And thank you so much for allowing me to talk about myself comfortably, and for, I guess, giving me a platform to do so, and for allowing me to be me. And I love you guys so much, and be you, and don't listen to what any of the haters say, and don't let them stop you from being you, and you being yourself. I got it the third time's a charm. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys next week. Happy December. Happy holidays.